Hi, I'm Mary.
And I'm Katie, and this is The Housewife Did It.
Pop Culture Edition.
All right, we have a little bit of housekeeping. So, for anyone that also listens to our true crime episodes, we teased a possible upcoming bonus episode, and we will be giving you that this week. So, we'll be talking about the LA Innocence Project's decision to take on Scott Peterson's case. My suggestion is that you go subscribe to our YouTube channel to be notified when a new video is uploaded. And that's for this and for always. Because why not? Then you won't miss them. Our YouTube is the same as our Instagram and everything. It's Housewife Did It Pod, Housewife Singular. So.
Yes.
All right, you ready to get into it?
Yes. Sports.
Mm-hmm.
Podcast.
Yeah. For just a brief moment, you're going to be confused.
Welcome to our sports podcast.
Where we're going to tell you about sports. So the Kansas City Chiefs won the AFC Championship and are headed to the Super Bowl on February 11th. The photos from the championship were so cute, nearly broke the internet. Thank God Taylor can kiss her boyfriend in public now, but I must say, I get a little bit nervous seeing her down there on a crowded field. And her security is like a full 3 feet behind her, and I'm like, get closer.
She's like gathering. At one point she's like, "Where's Dad? Where's Dad?" She's like gathering everyone to like get to him, and the security's like, "Wait a second.
Where's Taylor?
Hold the fuck up.
I don't care about Dad." So no surprise here. Lots of internet speculation on what everyone said to each other. Some were easier to figure out than others, like where's Dad? We've got Jason. So cute, actually. Her being like, we got Jason.
Yeah.
We got
Jason. Where's Dad?
So cute.
Come on, guys.
In one, we were first relying on lip reading, but then the audio leaked, so we can actually hear them, except for our very well trained girly. Covers her mouth and whispers when she doesn't want us to know what she said. So, in the PG version, it sounds like Taylor said to Travis, "I've never been so proud before, ever." In the more interesting version, people think that she said, "I've never been more turned on before, ever." Now, of course, the part that you can hear is the part that didn't change between those two things. But
yeah, I mean, it would make sense why she's whispering.
Right. I actually think she said the latter.
Yeah.
First of all, I think I've never been so proud before, ever. Like, doesn't really make a lot of, like, I think you would say, like, of anyone. I've never been so proud of anyone, ever. Like, and yeah, why would you cover your mouth?
Yeah.
Girly pop.
Yeah, in another clip, when she comes on to the field and they're, like, hugging, he says, "What's up, sweetie? Where were y'all?" And she, like, points to him, like, where they were sitting, and she says, like, it was such a great view. They could see everything. She said it was, like, incredible to watch him. And then she says, "I love you." And people think that somewhere in the clip he says, "I love you so much it hurts."
Yeah.
Or, like, "I love you so much," something like that. And then he leaves with his teammates. Other people are trying to figure out if he's saying it's gonna be so fun, talking about going with his teammates.
No. I think I heard it, and I'm fairly certain he said, "I'm gonna go with the boys after this, but I love you so much." Whatever.
Yeah. In another video from during the game, Taylor is seen waving the camera and pointing it away from her.
Yeah.
Which, like, to all the people who are mad that she's on their screen all the time, she does not want to be there.
She's on your side.
Yeah, she also doesn't want to be on the screen.
Yeah.
She wants to be. My husband has a theory that she's gonna somehow end up performing in the halftime show at the Super Bowl, which I think other people have a theory of that as well. But my friend and I were talking about it. And we're like, she just wants to like be his girlfriend. Like she just wants to watch her boyfriend play in the Super Bowl, which is like really awesome.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to worry about a camera panning to her or people focusing their attention on her because it's not about her and she doesn't want it to be
Yeah.
about her.
Yeah, and I think like when I watched the clips of her like in the suite, like Kelly Teller posted like a compilation video of them in the suite and stuff. To be honest, bear with me with this thought. She's like cringe as fuck. Like
Mhm.
I'm watching her like high five everyone and I'm like, girl, oh, that's embarrassing. But also like good for her for just being like embarrassingly excited
Yeah.
about her boyfriend. Like she's not trying to be like the world's greatest pop star when she's in
Right.
that suite. She's just trying to like have a good time and like leave her alone.
Yeah.
And we all know Taylor Swift embraces her cringe.
Yes.
She loves. People also zoomed into her bracelet, which is like a very nice diamond friendship bracelet that says TNT on it, which I think is like people were like commenting and they're like, is it literally just Taylor in Travis? Like you know, like not like that, but like like that's the
Yeah.
and like they do an and sign. But people were also like, but they're dynamite. Like they're like on top of the world right now. Like they're killing it. I'm like, I don't know.
I think that's just what people have been referring to them as in
Yeah,
shorthand.
I think so. Yeah. She also has a ring with an 87 jersey on it. Not just an 87,
Yeah.
a full-on fucking shirt
It's
on
so
her ring.
cute.
It is. It's like a little, it's like he's there on her.
Yeah. Adorable.
Also, like, good God, the way that CNN and so many different outlets are just like doing math
Yeah.
to determine if Taylor can possibly finish her concert in Tokyo and still make it back to Vegas in time for the Super Bowl, which she can. If
Right.
you've watched anything, good God, they worked it out. She can.
Yeah.
She could be there by like 3, or I think someone said she could be back by like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
But then I'm also like, someone else was like, she could be there by 3. And I'm like,
One of my friends and I looked at flights from Tokyo to Las Vegas. If the flight left Tokyo at 2 a.m., it would get to Las Vegas at 8 a.m.
oh, nice. Yeah, and like she'll fly private, so it won't even take as long. She can leave in her. We've seen her leave in her vigilante shit outfit. She doesn't even have to change.
Mm-hmm.
When I was listening to the Vial Files, which we'll get to, they were talking about like, do you think she has like a shower on her plane? And they were like, surely, yes. And then
Yeah.
Natalie like looked it up and she was like, it says these models don't usually have showers unless they like request it. And I was like,
You don't think Taylor Swift has requested a shower?
you don't think Taylor Swift flies enough in that plane that she needs a shower? Also, if she gets there at fucking 8, she has time to shower and nap and do whatever. She'll be fine, folks. So they have a very busy week ahead of them, these two. The Grammys are this weekend. Taylor is rumored to be performing, although then I saw that someone from her camp said she's not performing. But she will be there. She is nominated for 6 Grammys. People wondered if Travis would be there, but he pretty much will not be.
Yeah.
He's got some football to do. And Taylor and Travis are both nominated for People's Choice Awards, so we do have a chance at a red carpet debut. And that one is on February 8th. So, a TNT week for all the haters. Turn your TVs off this week.
Yeah.
Don't watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah. You're not going to be happy.
No. Next up, just a little remnant from the ending of season 4 of Salt Lake City Housewives. Speculation is circulating of a photo of Heather Gay from their first night on the San Diego trip. And it's like a Bravo photo. It has a timestamp on the bottom that says night 1, San Diego. and it looks as though she has signs of bruising around her eye. So pre-bruise, pre-black eye, she might have some bruising. So people are now saying that she had the black eye before she had the black eye forming before the alleged assault happened, which makes them think that she had a botched injection and is covering it up. Obviously, this is like mostly because she owns the place that she would get injections from, so I think that is why people think she would cover it up. I did see the picture. I will not lie, I got a little bit of confusion. Because it does kind of look like something's happening around her eye.
Yeah.
But I must say, don't we think that production would have showed us that clip and brought that forward when they were being accused of assaulting her?
I agree. And also, like, I just don't know how it
Would
if
turn
it is
into
like
that.
a botched, right, if it's a botched injection, how it gets that much worse.
It would like turn darker perhaps, but it wouldn't
Right.
like seal her eye shut.
Right. Yeah.
Weird.
Also, like, depending on the timing of a botched injection, eventually it would be getting better, depending on
Right.
how long ago she would have gotten it. Also in Bravo, on Southern Hospitality this week, O'Sheen apologized to Lucia and Mia for speaking disrespectfully to them. When he said it, Lucia said, "What are you apologizing for?" I said, "Yes, girl." And he said, "The way I spoke to you was like unacceptable." He was like, "I know that y'all didn't mean anything by like the comments you made to me, so like there was no need for me to get fired up the way I did, and like I just really regret it." Then also in the episode, Bradley and Lucia have shower sex, apparently. And then Bradley got in trouble because the next night he was flirting with another girl at the bar.
I'm surprised we didn't just get to see this shower sex since we just watched Lucia's ass in the
I
shower.
see someone's butt on every fucking episode of this show. It's like a thing now. This week it was Bradley's.
Billy gets like outraged in general about reality TV showing people nude or having sex or whatever. Like he feels like very angry for them that like that's being televised. And I'm like, but Billy, you have to understand that like we also just watched a scene where Grace Lilly said, "Shut the door, I'm shaving my legs." And so like not to like blame Lucia, but I do think like she did have to give consent for that.
Right.
In some way. So like it's okay. Like I
Right.
don't love seeing her ass and I wish they hadn't said, "Can we film your ass?" But I mean, she's obviously not that mad.
Right. After that night at the bar, O'Sheen brought a woman home, and Bradley went to wake him up the next morning, and he pointed out to the woman, like, "You have a giant ass engagement ring on your finger." And she was like, "No." And they were like, O'Sheen was like, it now, he said, "I did not see it before, but it definitely
What did she
was
say it
an
was?
engagement ring." Bradley said, "Are you married?" And she said, "Oh, no, I'm not married." And he was like, "You have like a big ass rock on your finger." And O'Sheen was like, "Oh shit." And then somebody's like, "Well, maybe it was like just like a family ring, but like it was on her left ring finger. It was like a plain silver band with a big ass diamond on it. Like it was an engagement ring for sure." But then she left, and O'Sheen, it's not like not important, but like, the big like heavy hitter of this episode was that Emmy wanted to talk to Maddie about the fact that they used to be friends and now they aren't. And so she like sits down to talk to her, and Maddie reveals to her that the reason she pulled back from their friendship was because Joe Bradley showed Maddie texts about her from a group chat with Emmy, Mia, Will, Brad, and Joe Bradley. And TJ, I think. It was from like a trip they had gone on that Maddie and Grace Lilly couldn't go to. That's why they were the only ones in the chat. But then they just kept using it afterwards. And Maddie, I know she's upset because some of the text messages were about her and Trevor, but I want to say that she also said that there were messages about her weight, but then that didn't get brought up again. So now I'm thinking maybe I misheard her somehow. But basically, she was saying like these messages, whatever they were about, were making fun of her. And it was like clear during the episode that there are like two sides of the group. There's Mia, Lucia, TJ, Brad, Emmy, and Will, and then O'Sheen, Maddie, and Grace Lily are like two different groups. And Joe Bradley is friends with all of them. So he's kind of stuck in the middle. And Grace Lily tells him that he has to pick a side, that he's playing both sides and he has to pick one, which he points out, and I agree with, is silly because he is a grown-ass adult. And if he wants to be friends with all of these people, even if they don't like each other, like that should be okay. But the issue lies in the fact that he's like, I wouldn't say like the issue is that he's not choosing a side, but that he's shit talking on both sides is the problem.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say like, yeah, it's silly to be like expecting him to like not be friends with these people. My question as Maddie would be like, why are you in, like, what are you saying in this group message? Like, are you like, yes, you brought it to me, but like to those people, did you say like that's shitty to say that about Maddie? Did you say like, whoa, like don't make fun of her, like she's my friend? Like, so you're just sitting there watching all this and then you bring it to me, but like I would like to know your part in this shit talking group message.
He did show her screenshots, so I don't think there is much of a question because
But
like
did the
she
screenshots
could
show him standing up for her?
I no. But also, as they're discussing this, they talk about their like high and low of the week. And Will decided he wants to be a shit stirrer now. He said, my low of the week is finding out that Joe Bradley showed our group chat to Maddie. And they like start yelling at each other. And Will says that in the same group chat, that Joe Bradley must have conveniently left out the parts where he calls Maddie a narcissist, a sociopath, and trash.
See, that's what
which
I'm saying.
Bravo does provide screenshots of. Obviously not at the time, but he said, Maddie, I will airdrop you the receipts right now.
Did he like deny it in the moment?
He was like, and Mia said, maybe you should think before you speak because everything that's coming out is bullshit. And then Maddie stood up. She told Mia that she looks forward to never seeing her again since they don't work together. And Mia reminds her that they all have a flight out the next day together. So she will see her tomorrow. And Maddie says, I'll change my flight, bitch. Then Maddie leaves the restaurant and walks up to a car that Trevor is at because he has come to Miami to surprise her at that exact moment.
I mean, is that like, was she pleased? Is that like what she needed? Yes. Or was
she was like, okay. She said like nobody wants to talk to her, nobody's her friend, like she's so alone, and so like, is it what she needs? I don't know, but she's like accepting it because nobody else wants to be her friend.
Yeah,
but also like he didn't tell her, he told Grace Lily. And so then Grace Lily like followed her out of the restaurant and was like, by the way, like Trevor just texted me and he's here, which is like awkward.
She's like, not sure if you're gonna be in the mood for that, but
yeah.
All right. So this week we have a very deep dive into Vanderpump Rules stuff. So we're gonna keep The Bachelor to major highlights only. Starting off with the worst possible person to get a public kiss with Joey got one. It was Jess. And then she gets the group date rose.
Right.
So, okay, production. I see what you're doing. It's not slick.
Yeah. I don't even think she's that cute.
No, and like, I was like writing this out, but I like couldn't even think of like what my complaint is. And I don't want to be like insensitive, but I really thought when she sat down to talk to him and she was like crying and stuff that she was gonna hit us with something. Like hit
Right.
us with like this like major news. And she tells him like it's hard for me to open up, and I opened up, and then the girls told me to stop. And that's hard. And he's like, Jess is being so vulnerable.
Yeah.
She's just repeating things she's heard on the fucking Bachelor before. You know?
Right.
So during a conversation with Joey, Maria tells him that she can't breathe in the corset dress that she's wearing, and she needs to change into something more comfortable. She leaves him sitting there and comes back in a long-sleeved bra-style shirt and skirt combo. I was very shocked that he just sat there. Like when she said, I'm gonna go change, I was like, girl, you're just ending your time with him?
Right.
Because like he's not just gonna wait, but he did. He says that Maria's gonna keep him on his toes, and good God, Joey is very into this.
Yeah.
At first I thought, okay, get a girl for being like, I'm uncomfortable, I'm gonna go change. And then it was pick me behavior.
Yeah.
Everyone on internet on Instagram is like, I'm still waiting for the more comfortable outfit.
Yeah. And then when she came back, it was like
that.
seemed like half of them didn't notice.
Yeah.
And the other half was like, what the fuck happened? And she's like, oh, I was like, and she was like sticking with the notion that she was like, you weren't uncomfortable.
Yeah.
She's like, I was just so uncomfortable. No, you weren't.
And even like when she sits down with him, she goes, I promise this is more comfortable. Like she realized that it doesn't look more comfortable.
And that nobody believes her.
Yeah. Lauren, the older of the sisters, opened up to Joey about how hard a wedding themed date was, knowing that her dad won't be at hers. Which is totally fair given that he only died 7 months ago. Like this is like fresh for her. Later in the night, Lauren decides to go home in a very strange way. Just tells her sister, I'm going home.
Yeah.
And it was weird. It started because she said, because I wanted to talk to him at the beginning of the night, but now it's ruined. And so I'm just going to leave because now it's the end of the night. And at first I was like, okay, why didn't you talk to him at the beginning of the night?
Right.
But then it's because she was trying to do some sort of recreating the wedding date.
Yeah.
Wanted production or the show or whatever to bring her this cake, and they didn't bring it out in time. So she had to wait, which bothered her. And then she had to leave.
First of all, how uncomfortable that like the last thing she said to him was, maybe I'll see you at hometowns.
And he like was just like, yeah.
I was like, I can't. But what got me was the fact that they got the cake and she's like, if it's not red velvet, I swear to God. She cuts the little piece off and says, oh my God, it's not red velvet. She's like clearly established it's not red velvet. Then as she's like waiting for her ride out of there, she decides to take a bite of it and then throws it on the ground because it's not red velvet. Even though she already knew you knew when you bit into it that it wasn't red velvet. It's not like one of those sensations where like you ask for a Coke and your waitress brings you root beer and you take a sip of it and you're like, what the fuck is that? Even if you like root beer.
It wasn't red.
Right. You were well aware and had pointed out that it wasn't a red velvet cake. So why are you throwing it on the ground for not being a red velvet cake?
But like, imagine going on this show to find your lifelong partner and leaving because production didn't set up your so clever date idea in time. Not just they didn't do it in time. Right. And so you just, no husband for me. Whatever.
No, but I think that like tracks for what we
Yeah.
got from her.
Yeah. All right. If it ain't Daisy at the end of this, dude, I freaking quit. I'm done.
Mhm.
Their date was so cute.
Mhm.
I will say what I've learned so far this season is that I want Joey to listen to me saying anything.
Mhm.
He's just so attentive. I did see something online. They were like, if he doesn't stop doing the wet thumbs thing, and someone was like, what are you talking about? And it was because he's like wiping all of their tears away. Like he did it like 3 times. But anyway, when Daisy told him that she has a cochlear implant from hearing loss due to Lyme disease, this man said, but how's your health now? He didn't say shit about her hearing aid. He just is like, but are you
Are
okay?
you okay? Yeah. People are online are like very sure that she is the one, like purely based on vibes alone. Um, not based on like spoilers or anything. I will say Daisy has come up a lot on my TikTok for you page.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she's been posting a lot about the show and always
It's
to like
usually
yeah. She's always but it's like pictures of them from the show with like Hannah Montana songs over
mm-hmm.
them. It's cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's very cute, like her internet presence too. But
Mhm.
yeah, sometimes I don't know. Part of me is like sometimes that doesn't bode well. Like if you're just like having fun with it, like maybe that
Mhm.
means you're not together, or you didn't make it to the end. But also like it's just such a different like age right
Yeah.
now that like you want people to keep following you and stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah. And I feel like there's somebody recently that I feel like did post a lot with their person and then who got picked. But I don't remember.
All right. Now we are gonna pregame
Mhm.
before getting into the season 11 premiere of Vanderpump Rules because we got some good content this week in preparation.
Mhm.
They gave us everything.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, all the
Um,
bad guys.
yeah, yeah, the bad guys gave us everything. Um, since I wrote this, Rachel Goes Rogue has released another episode, but it was a recap of the premiere, so it doesn't need to be in our pregame.
Mhm.
So it's not here. So, in chapter 5 of Rachel Goes Rogue,
Why is she calling them chapters?
I don't know. I don't know. Because that's a word she learned in, what does she call it every time? The trauma something center, trauma resource center or something. That's what she learned, okay? This is a new chapter in her life, Mary. So, in this edition of Rachel claiming that she's taking accountability while blaming and coming for every single person that she can, she's coming for production this time. So, she says that she did not watch Vanderpump Rules or know what the show was before meeting James. We know that's not true. We know that that is not true. She did kind of
Crazy
still tell the
girl.
story that like she met him at a DJing thing, but like, girl, does she like not remember that we like basically heard their like they told us their relationship story?
Right.
Like this was not like a secret. But I just feel like now that everyone keeps calling her a fan, like she's
Mhm.
like, oh no. She also calls Tom a James 2.0.
I thought you had made a typo and that she said it the other way around because I don't understand what that could mean.
No, I mean, I will say her and Kristen Doty and now the internet, they keep teasing at this like thing that we're eventually going to find out about James. Someone has now come out and said that James hit Kristen once, and Kristen had to come stay at her house because she was scared of him. And so, like, I think to Raquel, like, James is like the ultimate bad guy, which is like fine if she suffered abuse at his hands, then like fair. So yeah, it is really weird to hear her call like a 45-year-old man James 2.0.
Yeah.
But
and also, like, I think that I don't understand this idea of like teasing it if it is something that serious.
Well, I think they think they're like protecting him a little. They're like, well, we're not gonna say it because it would. She keeps saying like it would ruin his life if I told you this about him, which is like, okay.
Yeah. If he was abusive, then his life should be ruined. He deserves that.
There's only a handful of things that you could tell us that could ruin his life.
Right.
That we don't already know. Like, okay, he cheated on her. That's not going to ruin his life. He drank when he said he was sober. That's not going to ruin his life. Like, so it's like, yeah, like I think we can all read between the lines.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like it's more of like, I don't want a defamation suit or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. So she alleges that while on the Lake Havasu trip, it was actually production who suggested to her that Lala is being a hypocrite, and if anyone shouldn't be trusted around other people's men, that it would be Lala. They just like slipped her this knowledge. She says that they directed her to stand up for herself. She says that it was Charlie who was uncomfortable and wanted to leave the trip, begging Raquel to convince production to let them leave. Production was like, no, you cannot leave. And Charlie was like, Raquel, you go talk to them, like, see what you can do to let us leave. Like, the way she tells this story, they were escaping their captors. And they had to be so smart, and they had to be really strategic, and they had to give them whatever they wanted. So according to her,
it's like funny because she's like enforcing the idea that she cannot come up with an original thought.
Yeah. It's true. So according to her, production told her, fine, if you two want to leave, you have to go out there and tell them that you're going to the boys' night in LA. I guess to like bother them about Tom Schwartz because Katie at the time was mad about Tom Schwartz. And I just rewatched it and she said, like, we're going to meet up with Schwartz and Sheena. So like she doesn't mention anyone else, like it's just about Schwartz. And that she needed to tell Lala that she's just jealous that Oliver chose her. Which she does. She does tell Lala that. On the one hand, dude, like I'm like, I don't want to be naive. I don't want to be stupid and like believe that the production didn't go that far, that production doesn't tell them that specific stuff to do. Like, I could be totally wrong. But my feeling when I'm listening to her is that we are getting further and further from the truth every single time I listen to her. And again, it's not to say that I think like production doesn't direct them in ways, but like, whoa, dude, like we're getting nuts bonkers out of hand here.
Right.
Like, I'm like, what? So then she says that when she and Charlie got back to LA, production would not allow them to sleep first, which was also one of her complaints about Lake Havasu, was that she could like didn't sleep because she was so upset. I don't really know, whatever. They wouldn't allow them to sleep first and made them go straight into filming at the Mondrian for guys' night. And Rachel thought, well, this is what she says. I thought, what's the worst that could happen? Well, and that's what she leaves us with because we all know what could happen. Is this girl seriously saying that the reason she had an affair, which also didn't even start that night, so like the reason that she had a close contact conversation with Tom that then led to an affair is because production left her sleep deprived? What in the fuck?
I remember like when a couple weeks ago when the podcast first came out, and I was like, no, I think she's like telling the truth.
I know. I was like, I
But
believe her.
I think that she believes herself. I think that she thinks she is telling the truth. But I
Sure.
think she's delusional. Like, I think that, like, she has made production up in her head to be so awful that she believes that they, like, forced her into doing these things that they didn't.
I also think, like, perhaps their suggestions for her just she wasn't as able to say no. Like, a producer has been doing all of they did Sheena he did Sheena's podcast, and now he did Lala's podcast. And in Lala's, he said, like, when we first started with you, you were a pain in the ass to produce. We've never had someone just say, like, no, I'm not doing that. And I think, like, maybe the problem is that Rachel doesn't know, like,
Right.
just call an Uber. Like,
Yeah.
just leave. You know, like, no, production might not take you in their car, or they might pitch a fit. But, like, just because you're contractually obligated to be there doesn't, like, they're not going to
Right.
fire you because you left. Like,
Right.
you're in the middle of the season. So yes, like, maybe, and I know the producers become friends. So, like, yeah, maybe someone said to her, like, okay, I think it's kind of weird that Lala's saying she can't trust you around her man. You've never slept with anyone's boyfriend. And
Yeah.
Lala has. And then she's like, ooh, but that's not them directing her to say
Right.
that. Like, you then said it. So I just, yeah.
Do you think that she will say anything on her podcast about what Sandoval said during the Vial Files about her being like the Varsity Blues thing? Because it was gross.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if it were me, I would not be able to not say something.
I think she probably will. She has she's done a lot of, like, listener questions. She's done a lot of, like, talking about what he has said after and stuff. So, like, probably I don't know. I don't know what that's gonna do for her, because, like, on the one hand, like, like, cutting him off, like, I would almost think, like, she might be flattered by
Yeah.
that. And then now I'm like, obviously she would never, like, admit that. So, like, I feel like she will have to say, like, that's all I was to him. I don't know. I do expect that she probably will have something to say about the 2.5 hour Vial Files episode.
I'm interested to see what that would be.
Yeah. So, perfect segue. The Vial Files gave us a 2.5 hour episode that I thought it would just have a little bits of gold. No, it was incredible. So this is a long section, but it was such an interesting shit show. I am not a Nick Vial fan, but his interview skills were impressive.
Yes, I agree.
I would say they bordered on unprofessional if he didn't actually know Tom, but he does. And both of the Toms were very inappropriate in how defensive they were. So, like, I think he handled that well. So Nick starts off telling us that Tom Sandoval had asked Nick to be on his podcast, but Nick was hesitant to go on Tom's first because he did not trust that Sandoval would still come and do his. That's some tea. Like, right off the freaking bat, before the Toms were even there, he's like, this man is unreliable.
Yeah.
I need y'all to understand this. So, not really a surprise when Tom Sandoval was late.
45 minutes late.
Yeah. To record this podcast. We get to hear Nick and Schwartz, like, shooting the shit. Like, they tell Schwartz, like, yes, technically we're recording, but, like, we're not really started. So, like, we're just talking. It all gets included.
Yeah.
Which I don't know that Schwartz was ready for. But it was great. So apparently Nick has told Schwartz in the past that he's the most handsome guy on Vanderpump Rules, and both of them agreed that Tom Sandoval did not like this. Of course he didn't. Schwartz is, like, fangirling about Gypsy Rose, and Nick says that Gypsy Rose did something different than what Tom Sandoval does, by owning what she did, explaining what she could have done differently, and then showing people how she is a different person. What an awful thing to be.
Yes. Can you imagine being like somebody who's like kind of your friend being like, you are a worse person than a murderer. A convicted murderer.
Yeah.
Is better than you.
Yeah. She's killing the game and you still suck. Schwartz says that Tom did do all of that in his own convoluted way, which really means he didn't.
He didn't, right.
Thank you, though. As time goes on, with Tom still not showing up, Nick says, I've never had anyone no-show. He is going to regret this. And I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Nick's gonna kill him.
Gypsy?
Gypsy?
You wet, girl?
They start talking about Katie Maloney, who, as we know, now has a podcast on Nick Viall's network. Tom Schwartz calls her, again, this is why I'm like, he did not think this was going to make it. He calls her a hater and judgmental. Nick says, I have not found her to be a hater, but I have found her to be opinionated. And then Natalie was killing it.
She needs to take over the Viall.
I know. Natalie says, I've always found her to be on time. Hilarious.
Her face, like during the videos, every time Tom Sandoval talked, she was like,
yeah,
just cracking me up.
Yeah. Nick starts to say that he doesn't think Tom's going to show, that in 700 episodes, he's never had someone no call, no show. Schwartz says, well, Tom always shows up eventually. He just usually has a pretty shitty excuse. And Nick's like throwing out ideas on what the excuse could be. And Schwartz is like, no, probably just getting his nails done. Like, that's all it'll be. Tom Schwartz tells us that as of right now, for Schwartz and Sandy's, Sandoval is more of a silent partner in the bar. They then call Sandoval one more time, and he answers and says, oh, shit. Is it 219? Is it really 219? Oh, it's 219. I'm coming. So annoying. Nick tells Schwartz, this is an opportunity for you two to come across as two guys who have made mistakes but are growing at the beginning of your 40s. And he says, like, you know, fans have ideas of y'all, and like, here's kind of a stage to like set the record straight, like tell us how you've changed. At this, Schwartz gets quite defensive, saying over and over that he feels like Nick is setting him up for failure. He said, you're just basically saying you're an asshole, now prove you're not. And Nick's like, I'm not saying I think that about you. Surely, though, like, you're not blind to what fans say about you. Mm-hmm. And Nick literally said, way later in the podcast, but he said, like, I had fans think things about me, and I was so grateful for not that I felt the need to defend myself, but he was like, I was so grateful for every opportunity that I had to, like, explain who I really am and, like, kind of set the record straight. Like, I'm just giving you that opportunity. Later, Tom Schwartz will apologize for being defensive, but anyway, finally, Mr. Sandoval shows up. Nick asks why he was late. He tells Nick that he was 2 hours late to his podcast. And Nick is like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, he's like, what? And Tom says, you were 2 hours late. We were waiting for you, blah, blah, blah. Nick says, no, I wasn't. Tom seems fine with that answer for a moment. Mm-hmm. Then they ask why he was late again. He says, I was hanging out with a friend. When asked if it was a guy or a girl, he says no comment, which he has since posted a picture with a model that people believe he's dating. It looks like they're dating in the picture. So that might be who he was with. Nick says, so just not a care in the world, to which Tom says, it wasn't like that. But Nick, why were you late? Oh, but it's different when it's you. Tom claims that Nick was supposed to come over at 5:30, but got there at 8:30. Natalie pulls out a text from Nick to her at 6:52 that he was done with Tom's podcast and headed to Whole Foods. Tom says, yeah, but it was supposed to be 5:30. And she says, yes, but he was done by 6:52. So accounting for, I don't know, about an hour and a half podcast seems about right.
He also, when he first said he was late, he said it was that he was supposed to be there between 5:30 and 6, or around 5:30 or 6:30.
Right.
So, and then when she said he got done at 6:52, then he's like, no, it was absolutely 5:30.
Yeah.
And then Nick said, what scares me is that I think you believe that that's true.
And they talk about it again later, and Tom basically says again, like, I could ask so and so, like, he said we were waiting for you. And Nick's like, yeah, I mean, like, I can't dispute whether you're waiting for me, but like, I was done by 6:52. Like, I couldn't have been that late.
Right.
And then Natalie says, so let me just ask, how long was the episode with Nick? And he was like, after he says you got there at 6:30, he says it was an hour. And she just goes, Okay, so not 22 minutes.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool. When asked what Sandoval has learned from the Scandoval, because he says he's in therapy. So Nick says, what have you learned? He says, what have I learned? What have I learned? I learned I would never do it again.
In that way.
Right.
He says, I would never do it again in that way.
I would never cheat in the same way again.
And Nick says, what does that mean in that way? And he says, well, like, at all.
Well, actually, he said, well, I wouldn't have an affair, which makes me think he thinks his little one-off cheatings, the Golden Nugget, Miami Girl, he doesn't, he's not going to commit to not doing those.
Right.
He's going to commit to not doing 9-month-long affairs.
Right.
Cool. Good for you. Tom says that he won't tell some of the things about his relationship with Ariana because he doesn't want to dishonor her. It's a little late, buddy. Schwartz says, well, there are some things we can't say right now, like because of season 11 and the network and things. And Sandoval says, I can say whatever the fuck I want, but I won't. Gold star for Tom Sandoval.
Yeah, thank you.
First of all, for not breaking his contract, but second of all, for being such a noble ex-partner. So kind. He then proceeds to talk about her after saying that he was gonna not do that. He says that throughout their entire relationship, he was belittled by her. That many times. And, you know, so if this is his way of acting out, then that just is. It is what it is. Okay. Cool.
He also says, like, when he's talking about, like, what he's learned, he said, like, that he's learned that he's looking for someone who, like, respects him.
Yep.
And, like, I was like,
yeah.
Okay.
He then gets choked up talking about the fact that she didn't have sex with him for over a year. And, like, here's my qualms with that. I just get really sick of people saying she didn't have sex with me.
Right.
Like, it really feels weird.
Yeah.
Like, what? Just, like, on her own?
Yeah.
All alone? She didn't have sex with you?
Strange. But we know from the reunion that that's not true because they did have sex with her t-shirt on.
So he just doesn't count it because it wasn't sexy enough.
Yeah. Real hot.
Schwartz speaks for Sandoval, saying that he knows Tom regrets what he's done on a very deep level, but that when he is in public, he gets very defensive. Tom tells us that in his relationship with Ariana, he said, quote, I instigated the happiness in the relationship. I was the only one. You instigated something.
Yeah, you did a great job because everyone in that relationship seemed really happy.
Yeah. Those dumpling lattes took you everywhere you needed to go, apparently. talking about the house. Nick asks, so basically they start talking about the house because social media is telling us that Ariana's suing him. So Nick asks
Mhm.
about that and he says, she's not suing me. And Nick said,
Mhm.
okay, like clear that up then. And because he starts like yelling at Nick, she is not suing me. And he's like, here is your chance to like
Right. Chill
explain to
the fuck
people, like,
out.
chill. Yeah. So he's basically saying like she's just being petty, like she just doesn't want me to have the house. He keeps using these examples of like when so and so got divorced, someone got the house. When so and so got divorced, someone got the house. When these people got divorced, someone got the house. And Nick's like, I don't care like about
Yeah.
these people. And then he uses the same examples again, and Nick's like, yeah, you already said that. Like, I don't care. And so Nick asks him like, but do you think you're entitled to Ariana's reasonableness? And like, don't you think she's entitled to be petty? And Tom says, yes, and she's doing a great job at it. No, it doesn't sound like you do think she has the right
Right.
to be petty, because, okay. He says that Ariana hit the breakup lottery.
She's a lucky
And
girl.
yeah, and so she should be reasonable and sell the house to him. In fact, later he says, like, Nick says, like, are you saying she should be grateful? And he's like,
Mhm.
I think she is grateful. Yeah, that she's not with you anymore. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, yeah, that she found out you were cheating on her, so now she's not with a cheater anymore. She probably is, but like not grateful that she
Yeah.
was cheated on. Uh Nick says that this is a consequence of breaking her heart, and he says, well, she also broke my heart. What? What? Because she wouldn't be in a throuple with you two? What?
This man is crazy.
He then goes on to complain because he built a gym in that house. And now he's going to have to move, and people just expect him to build another gym.
Ariana built a family in that house and you wrecked it.
Yeah. Like, and Schwartz is just sitting there talking about, like, yeah, I had to give up my dream house. I loved my house. Nick's going, hey, Schwartz, did you put any money into your house? Yeah, I did. And then Sandoval's just right back to himself. All the times, though, that he was like, Nick's like, Schwartz, you're a good friend. And he's like, I'm a good friend. And I'm like, whoa, God, okay. Typically, you should like let other people tell you that.
Yeah.
But okay. Tom Schwartz raved about how well Ariana's doing. You can tell he is trying so hard. He's like, she looked so hot at this. She was doing so well. And then, like, he's like really like, please, Ariana, please don't be mad at me. And
It
Sandoval,
pains him.
yeah. Sandoval says that he is proud of her, but he thinks she should focus less on him, saying it's not a good look. She's been spiteful.
Who is it? Who thinks it's not looking good?
Yeah,
Because she's on fucking Broadway
yeah.
right now.
It's a great look.
I think she's looking fine.
Also, I like don't really know what he means that like she should focus, like what is she focused on him? Like the only
He
thing
thinks everyone is.
he thinks that because she won't give up the house that that's her like being not over it, and
Yeah.
it's like no, she's just not going to give you the fucking house.
He legitimately like credits all of her success right now to
Yeah.
him and
Yeah.
his wreckage of their relationship. So anything that she's doing in public, he thinks is a direct result of him.
Mhm.
So he's saying like she's on Dancing with the Stars, she's on Broadway, she's in Lifetime movies, she has all of these commercials out, and it's all everyone has something to say about the fact that she was cheated on, which makes it suddenly about him. And like in some ways, yes, but they're not focusing on him. They're focusing on her experience.
Yeah, it's also like no one just gets taken from Dancing with the Stars to Bravo or to Broadway
Yeah.
unless they're good.
Right.
Like they weren't just like she was cheated on, so Broadway it is. Like
Right.
she's good at it. Like I don't understand. For about 5 solid minutes, we get to hear Sandoval rant and rave about how good of a friend he is. Nick tells him, "Yeah, you can be," and he says, if you don't know that, then you don't fucking know me. What? Whoa.
Everything he says sounds angry, and like not just like now, but like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Forever it has sounded angry.
Yeah, was my household the only one that thought he was like stoned for the whole thing?
I didn't finish.
He was a
listening
little
to it.
feral.
I think he was like, I think he
The fucking
became
Tweety
defensive.
Bird, the Tweety Bird thing.
Going like the way that he rambled on about the Varsity Blues thing also was like,
the Varsity Blues. My mom had, like, Nick asked him, how will you find peace in the future? And he's like, when I went to my mom's house for Christmas, she has this Tweety Bird ornament and I rub it on my face. And I'm like, what? What?
did not get to that part.
And my mom puts it in the back of the tree because it's ugly, but I move it to the front because I love it. And
I rub it on my face.
And I rub it on my face. And then he's like, and then he was like, so I do deserve peace. Or like, that is not what he asked. And it reminded me of like when I'm high and I start answering and I spiral. and he ended up over here. And then he was like, shit, I'm coming back. And he did not come back. I was like, and like the fact that he clearly wasn't ready to be there and was like with his friend, I was like, yo, this man. Ugh. You mentioned this, but when he asked what he would take from his last, okay, first of all, this was annoying because he asked Schwartz, what would you take from your last relationship into your next one, and what would you not? And then he asks Tom something else, and Tom goes, oh, I see you're not going to ask me that. And he said, I'm not going to lie, it sounded like you were getting kind of sick of questions about your relationship. So, and then Tom just answered it. Like he really, really wanted to say this answer. Mm-hmm. And so he says what he would take into his next relationship is that he will continue to respect his next partner the way that he respected Ariana. What he would not take into the relationship is that he will want someone who respects him back this time, because Ariana never respected him back. And I also think, like, I'm not even going to address the fact that he clearly didn't respect her and she did respect him. Okay. What I'm going to say is, like, he talks over and over again. I was so impressed with Ariana. I really respected who she was. Then be an impressive, respectable person.
Right.
Not even because of the cheating. You think the Tom Sandoval that we knew for 10 seasons, even before that, was like an impressive, respectable person? No.
Right.
No, she's not looking at you and going, I got a noble man here. I got a good man. She's like, this is a dude that wants to paint his fingernails white and bitch and complain when they chip, and he can't show up to anything on time. Like, what? That's the dude she's supposed to be impressed with?
Right. Like, in literally, like, the second season they're dating, she's like, I just want you to be there for me. And he's like, but I want to bulldoze things.
Yeah. Like, that's the guy that she's supposed to be like, I was blown away with, like, how mature and smart he was. No, she wasn't. This was the part about therapy. When asked what he's learning in therapy, he said, I'm finally getting to grieve my best friend Ali's death.
That's not what you're supposed to be doing in there.
Right.
That has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, and like grieving, that's fine. Like, yeah. If grieving is something that you needed therapy for, that's fine. But like, come on, dude. Like, it's just so not like believable. Yeah. It's like, I'm not gonna say that I've learned that I'm manipulative or that I whatever. Like, I'm gonna say something that makes me the victim again. And like,
because he's manipulating.
Right. And it's like, I am not at all like trying to discount that his best friend died and like a real, true, not show best friend. Like, and that is awful. But like, all these months later, when your world has blown up and you went through an admitted midlife crisis, when asked what you are learning, you say, I'm finally getting to grieve. That's not what you're learning.
Right. You were gonna do that either way.
Yeah.
And maybe it looks different in therapy,
Yeah.
but
Schwartz gets a little defensive, like kind of jabs in, but they're like, I think he's just trying to be like funny, but he's continuously saying things like, okay, we get the joke. The Tom's giving relationship advice is hilarious, or okay, I get what you're doing asking me that, to the point where Nick had to start prefacing everything. And he was like, okay, we do this with all of our guests. We're going to answer a listener question about relationships. Okay, we ask everyone this. What would you take from your life? Like, he's like, please, I'm not coming for you. This is my podcast and it has a structure and you agreed to be on it. And it's also like probably really frustrating for Nick. Like, when they started the whole like listener calling in thing, they like said something stupid and he was like, yeah, if you listened to this podcast. Like, it's probably very frustrating for someone to come on your podcast and not even do their research by like listening to one of your episodes.
Right.
Come on. All right, to the main event, although that felt like the main event.
I know.
It was so good. I want to listen again. I want to watch it.
Yeah.
So, the premiere is Sandoval-less, as he is in New Zealand shooting Special Forces. Good news, James is not drinking again. We love to see it. Sheena lets us know that she has been diagnosed with OCD, and this actually came before the news of the affair and the following restraining order broke, which, man, that really sucks.
Yeah.
That's really bad timing. We're not Sheena fans over here, so Billy was like, stop feeling for her. And I'm like, no, I'm allowed to feel for her.
It's a mental illness.
I'm like, this girl is just like trying to figure out her fucking Zoloft while she's having to go to fucking court. Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, and then not fucking Schwartz giving us the Bill Clinton impression. No. Stupid. And then he tells us that Ariana is exalted and the patron saint of scorned women. How is he fucking this up this bad? And Sandoval ain't even there.
And you know what? She is.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it sarcastically.
Yeah.
That's her job now.
Ice Queen. And I'm like, yeah.
He's so worried that she doesn't like him. He's not helping.
No. After Tom Schwartz's appearance on Watch What Happens Live, when he asked people to give Sandoval a hug if they see him, Ariana texted him, fuck you, I'm blocking your number, go choke on Sandoval's dirty ass dick some more. Which is so funny, the production there of her going, I don't think it was that bad, and then him reading it, and then we've seen this before where Tom, because he used to read Katie's like mad text, but he'll read it and then you can like see him realize, damn, that was mean. Like, he like
really don't like me.
Yeah, he like read it and he was like, shit, dude. Ariana has to go back to Tom for the first time since being there and finding out about the affair from Tom's phone. Somehow, she also has to sit in the same seat.
Not somehow. We know how.
Somehow. Okay, Rachel Leviss, fuck off. It ends up more emotional for her than I thought it would be. Instagram has been weird. Like, I've seen a lot of people commenting and being like the clip of her like not really talking to Schwartz, and they're like, if don't go to his business if you don't want to talk to him or whatever. And it's like, if we don't stop fucking calling Tom their business, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
They have 5% of it. They don't make any fucking decisions. Like,
and it wasn't his event.
Right. She's there with Lisa, the owner, the main owner, and like, come on now. Now, Lala is the first. People had been speculating who would be the first to break and reach out to Rachel, and it was Lala. First question, I guess. Are we shocked?
No. I'm not shocked either that she is the first one to break or that she reached out specifically. I feel like Lala could never do anything half-assed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like if it was important enough to her that it was like weighing on her that way, that it was going to be important enough to her to make sure that Rachel was aware she was empathizing with her.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think she would have been satisfied with just knowing it on her own.
Yeah. Yeah, and I totally get like why she felt for her.
Yeah.
And people want to call it this like hypocrisy, like look how she flip-flopped. She was the one most vicious to her at the reunion, and now she's the one reaching out. But I think like it's the same reason. The
Yeah.
same reason that she was so triggered by the actual affair and the lying is because she can relate. And then the reason she can relate to Rachel herself is because in the last 5 minutes part of last season, she heard her say, like, basically, this man has been the only person who is here for me, and that is why I do not go against him, because I will have no one.
This man is a narcissist.
Right.
And the other thing is, yes, like Lala was going hard at her at the reunion, but she also told her, like, this is a dangerous man.
Right.
Like, keep your ass away from him.
Yeah. Personally, I like don't think she needed to reach out. I think she could have felt for her, said it on TV that she felt for her, but not reached out. But yeah, like I mean, I get what you're saying. Like Lala's thinking, like, if this person feels alone,
Yeah.
I need to make her not feel alone. I did feel a little bit like it was for the show.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, it's not like she was like overly kind. She was like, I would like to talk to you. I would like to hear your
Yeah.
side of things. Like, she was still pretty like curt,
Yeah.
even.
And we learn, I guess, spoiler. On Watch What Happens Live, she tells Andy that Rachel never did respond to her.
Yeah.
And that after listening to the Bethany Frankel podcast, she regretted reaching out.
Yeah. Rachel talked about it on the Bethany podcast. I think it was a quick thing. Bethany said, has anyone reached out? And she said, like, only Lala. And I think she said, like, I haven't responded. So, yeah. So Lala does say for the first time that the names that people called her, mistress, the other woman, a homewrecker, she says, I guess they were all technically true. But I also think in this, because this is who I am with Lala, I'm always going to defend her. And I think when people hear that, they're like, a victory. She's finally admitted it. She's a homewrecker. And like, I think we should just remember her statement from last season as the takeaway from all of this, that like, sure, yes, it did end up being true that she, quote, was a part of wrecking a home. It did end up being true that like the man she was with was married. But no one talks shit about Randall. No one calls him anything. There's no names for him for being the one who wrecked his own home, for being the one who lied to 2 women at the same time, probably more. And basically the only commentary about it is Lala being a whore. Yeah. And so I think like her admitting that like in all technicality, I guess I am those things. I don't think that should make us like, oh good, like she knows she's a whore now.
Yeah.
Cool. So we can just keep saying it. I think Ariana's gonna stay giving us some good lines this season. Lala says, I'm just gonna play devil's advocate. And Ariana says, I'm just gonna say it. I don't think the devil needs any more advocates. And I don't know if she means the devil is like Tom and Rachel.
Yeah.
Or she just literally means, why are we advocating for the devil?
Right. No, I agree.
So Lala tells Ariana how she felt about Rachel's last 5 minutes interview, and that like when she said she would have no one without Tom, she related, and then she tells her that she reached out. It does seem like Ariana would be fine with people feeling for Rachel. I think like they won't break the fourth wall here, but I think like the more important part is the show, in that like
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't want her potentially being brought back into the group,
Right.
which is like totally understandable. I think like in the real world, like if you found out your friend reached out to someone, was never going to be friends with them, but just wanted to say like, I'm sorry that happened to you, like whatever. But it's
Yeah.
like in this show, if they can get one person that will film with her, she could come back. So I think and at the time of the premiere, it was still up in the air whether she would come back. Lisa was still trying to get her to come back. So I think that's like fair.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I also agree with Ariana that Lala would have gone absolutely fucking feral if people reached out to Randall or Randall's mistress. So it's not a bad point. I
Yeah.
have a hard time making them equal to me
Yeah.
though, because of the custody battle. I'm not saying they wouldn't be. She totally may, like it may and like be equal, I guess. But like it's hard for me to know what the situation with Randall would be like if there wasn't a custody battle. Like we're with the Schwartz thing, when she like came for Schwartz for hanging out with him. If I'm in a custody battle with a fucking millionaire or a guy who like thinks he's a millionaire, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you could possibly be like taking information from me to him, or you could possibly be making him look like a good guy when like I need to win a custody battle,
Mm-hmm.
like then no. So it's
I
just like
also
a little
think
different.
with the Schwartz thing, like distinctly remember that what she had an issue with was the
Mm-hmm.
fact that Schwartz was continuing to hang out with him after the
She
article
told.
came out explaining
Oh
the
yeah.
casting couch
Right.
and that Randall was a predator
Right.
and that like it was like proven and like an
Yeah.
expose had been released and
Mm-hmm.
Schwartz was still wanting to hang out with him. Like
Yeah, and
that
it's
I
also
think was
like
part of it.
Randall's mistress was not like a used to be in the friend group. So it's like,
Right.
yes, if you reached out to Randall's mistress who you do not know,
Right.
that would be weird. Unless you reached out to say, hey, did he prey on you? Do you
Right.
need out? Do you need some help?
You good, sis?
Yeah.
Yeah. I also think though that like that whole situation and conversation between Lala and Ariana kind of proved that what the Toms are saying about Ariana, even still on Nick Vile's podcast, isn't really true. It seems like
Mm-hmm.
in general, Ariana has moved on from how she
Yeah.
felt at the reunion, like the pure like vitriol that came with like the initial news of the affair. And now she's just like working on protecting her peace.
I
Like
just don't
she
want this person around
right.
me.
And she's like said like, "Oh my god, like Lala, no, like I still love you. I
Mm-hmm.
I understand how you're feeling, why you did that, and I'm okay." Like she like you said like she's okay with people like feeling for Rachel and like wanting to like empathize with her. She just doesn't want her around.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's reasonable.
Mm-hmm. And then fucking Sheena comes in saying, you know, if she had just had the affair, I probably would talk to her again. But since she went and got a restraining order against me, I'm never going to talk to her again. So you're telling me we're all pissed at Lala for doing what Sheena is admitting that she would have done?
I could not believe she said that out loud.
Girl. Uh, and like I just saw an interview where she had to answer for that one podcast she did where she said like Ariana doesn't get what this was like for me.
Yeah.
And she's like, they don't get what I'm saying. Like it was taken out of context. Bitch, you saying the same fucking thing all the time.
Yeah.
Basically, that like her doing this to Ariana meant it didn't mean that much to you. It's not until it started affecting you that you were like, oh damn.
Yeah.
Never mind. And she even says to Lala, when Lala says, I reached out to Raquel and she's only telling Ariana, Sheena's like, well, don't you remember what she did to me? Like, come on, dude. Fuck off. On the Vanderpump Rules after show. Thank you, Peacock. Tom says that Ariana was being performative in her anger. and that she obviously still trusts him and feels safe with him. Not just feels somewhat safe with him, feels safer with him than she feels alone. Because otherwise, why would she be okay with still living with him? She literally told us she locks her bedroom door. My guy.
Because that house cost out the ass for her.
Yeah. Also, was it on the Vile Files that he said he has guns? Yeah. He was talking about how he has like all these guns, and I was like, I don't like that.
Did not peg him for a gun owner.
Mm-mm. Ariana says, if I can live through my worst case scenario, then surely I can live in an annoying living situation for a few months. Fair. Contrary to Rachel's claim that Tom told her to send things to his address with Ariana, he claims that he has no idea what she was thinking, why she would send stuff to his house with Ariana. Crazy girl.
He says she never had an original thought. Don't pretend. She didn't come up with that on her own.
Yeah, stop. He says that he kept all packages that he was sending out to her very well hidden. Ariana would disagree, considering that she saw them.
Right.
She found one of the packages and she was like, I literally can't even tell this story. It's so cringe. Like, I want to die. She said she found one of those Bluetooth lamps that like match. So he was sending her one and then he would keep one so that then he could change the color and it would change the color on hers. So he knew he was thinking of her.
That is so them coded though.
It is. He also admits that he learned how to wax stamp envelopes for her. He sent her candy all the time, and he would put glitter inside of the letters.
All of that is disgusting.
Yeah. I feel like he really thought that was like, because he was like, because see, I really was so in love. And like,
if somebody sent me a letter filled with glitter, I'd be pissed.
People do that to be mean.
Yes.
People do that. Like, there's like you want to send this to someone.
And I love glitter. Like, let's be clear.
Not when I don't know it's about to fall all over me.
Right. But, and especially if I was in like a mental health facility where like somebody had to clean up after me, I'd be so embarrassed.
Oh, this is just from that guy I had a 7-month-long affair with.
The reason I'm in here.
Yeah.
And you can't hide it.
He rounds it all up with letting us know that he is quite bothered that Rachel did not come back to the show, but that she chose to start a podcast. Mind your own fucking business.
Yeah.
Sir.
Literally, what would she have done on the show? Because she is trying to stay away from him.
But everyone like, at the time she wasn't. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, and she said on hers, like, if I had gone back to the show, I think I would have fallen right back in with him. And that's also, I think, why he wanted her to come back to the show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it. I'm so excited we're back in this.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Good times. Ariana made her Broadway debut yesterday, I think.
Yep.
It was Roxy Hart.
Yeah. It sounds like Kristen and Lala are now beefing, but I'm not understanding for sure. So we'll research. Okay. Alrighty.
Bye.
Bye.